Is Gemini going to be the next FTX? Well, unfortunately, over the last year, we saw a lot of crypto projects go under and see their demise. It started out with Terra Luna and then led into UST, Celsius, Vald, Voyager, and of course, ending with the famous FTX implosion. Now, Gemini currently has a near $1 billion hole in their balance sheet, and today we're going to be discussing everything that you need to know about this Gemini situation because the Winklevoss twins are at war with DCG, who is a massive player in the crypto space. So if you need to be filled in, don't worry, we're going to be talking about everything that you need to know in today's video. So if you sound interested, make sure you stick around for the entire length because there's a lot of important information to discuss. So let's start things from the beginning here and talk about how Gemini got to a spot where they're missing $900 million of their customers' funds. So Gemini came out with this earn product where you could earn around 8% by lending out your money to Gemini. Gemini would then transfer the money to Genesis, where Genesis would make arguably pretty risky investments to give about maybe a 20% return. They would capitalize on the profits in between and then return investors' monies with that 8 or so percent that they made. Now, somewhere along this line, something went wrong, and the Winklevoss twins from Gemini are claiming, hey, you guys owe us $900 million worth of customers' funds, and we need this because we're starting to have liquidity issues, and it's a lot of money for an exchange like us. So it's something similar-esque to what we saw with a couple of the other players this year. I would say it's the most in line with probably what happened with Celsius. But we also saw Coinbase try to do something like this a little bit earlier last year. Now, the SEC, since Coinbase is a publicly traded company, they kind of came in here and said, absolutely no way you are going to be allowed to lend out your investors' money, make risky investments with them, and then come back and say everything's fine. The United States was simply just saying, you are not going to be allowed to do this. And so the way that Coinbase kind of had to pivot away from this, because they still do have their earn product, is going through different kinds of staking processes. So if you're working on a proof of stake blockchain, then you're going to be able to stake those specific cryptocurrencies for a fraction of the probably full stake amount. They take a pretty hefty amount of your staking rewards away from you as profit for the exchange for kind of offering their services. Now, that's beside the point. Let's go back to this. So around November time, when Gemini said, hey, we're going to be halting our earn program, we're also going to be halting some kind of withdrawals and deposits, it started to raise a lot of red flags. Even back at this article I believe was published back around the November time. And when this happened, it was saying, hey, is this giant going underwater? And the answer was, behind the scenes, it was yes. And so if we go back to this original article from the Winklevoss twins and what is currently happening, they're essentially saying that Genesis is acting in bad faith stall tactics and that they're withholding all of their customers' funds. Now, as of right now, we truly don't know who's at fault. Is it Genesis? Is it DCG? Is it the Winklevoss twins and Gemini? There's a lot of confusion, but one of the most unique things about all of this is that we are at a point in history where so much information is being dumped onto the public like we've never really seen before. I mean, even from this tweet, it's literally just like a Microsoft Word or a Google Doc that they just opened up 2 blank pages, typed away at, and then just tweeted it saying, hey, Barry Silbert, who's one of the leaders of DCG, here is our open letter to you. Now, in this, they had some very choice words. Essentially, Silbert came back and said, hey, we've already sent you a proposal. It was probably over the holidays, so you didn't read it. And the Winklevoss twins did not like that response because they actually came back and had a no-holds-barred quote. Now, they said, you took the money of school teachers to fuel your greedy share buybacks, illiquid venture investments, and kamikaze grayscale NAV trades, all at the expense of creditors and all for your personal gain. Now, in response to this, Silbert basically came back and said, no, we didn't do that. We've been making our payments. Everything's fine. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And so now there is this war between the Winklevoss twins, Gemini, DCG, Genesis, all of these players saying someone owes someone nearly $1 billion And so now we have another massive exchange, another massive player who is looking like they're going to be underwater. Now, who is going to take the fall for this? Is it going to be Gemini and Genesis? Is it going to be DCG? Again, we simply don't know yet. It's too early to say who the malicious actor here is. And maybe it was just ignorance on one of these parties' ends. Maybe it was carelessness. Maybe they were just making silly decisions and they weren't being careful with how they were ultimately managing their money. You know, we really don't have all the answers yet, but what we do know is that at the time of making this, it looks like Genesis and Gemini are pretty illiquid at the moment. So if you are able to get your money off of there, it might not be a bad idea, because saying that you have a $900 million hole in your balance sheet and that $900 million worth of customer funds are gone, well, that's a little bit of a concerning thing to say the least. So if you are able to get your money off of there, this might be the time to look towards that, because they are looking like they are certainly in a bit of a pickle. And, I'm curious here, are we going to see another big leg down in crypto from this? And ultimately, I think the answer to a degree is no. Now, if they do go under, then yes, obviously this could push the price of crypto down a little bit more. But this news has been circulating for around 2 months now. It's just now getting into the spotlight to the full extent of everyone's now realizing how serious this situation is. And that just kind of came out in the last day or two, really the last 2 or 3 days. And even then, Bitcoin has been rising in price the entire time that this story has been kind of coming out to the public. So Bitcoin's up about 2.25% over the last 4 or so days. And even with this news, it seems like people are not too concerned. A lot of the people that wanted to sell their Bitcoin, a lot of the people who were scared of all the FUD that was coming out, they've already exited their positions. And so as a result, many people just are not interested in selling anymore. It looks like this kind of FUD has no more market impact than anything else that's happening. And it looks like what happened with FTX could have been one of the final major legs down. Now, again, I'm not saying that crypto can't fall to new lows. I'm not saying that crypto can't go down from here. Obviously, that would be a silly statement in the bear market that we're in right now. But what I am saying is this kind of news has been presented to us a lot over the course of the last year or so, and every time it had a pretty big impact on the market, whether it was Celsius or Terra Luna or FTX or Voyager, it doesn't matter. But what we're seeing now is, even with this announcement coming out about Gemini, the market really isn't reacting anymore. So I think people are starting to get used to this FUD, and that was something that I saw in 2018 a lot. People got used to all the stuff, they got used to all the FUD. Again, you could only push down prices so much from these kind of news releases and from projects going under. And it's the same sort of pattern and methodology, or maybe ideology is a better way to put that, in comparison to what we saw in 2018 during that previous major bear market. So, let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think that Genesis and Gemini can recover from this? It's certainly, again, it's a hard spot. We don't know who the bad actor is yet. We don't know whether it's the Winklevoss twins or Silbert and DCG, but the moral of the story is that $900 million worth of customer funds are missing, and someone's going to have to pay the price for this. My heart goes out to everyone who was caught up in this action. Hopefully a lot of people are able or were able to get their funds off before a lot of this kind of implosion happened. But that's going to round us up for today's video. If you did enjoy this, make sure you stick around for the entire future content that we have on the channel. We have a lot of other content that is coming along here. We put about 2 videos out every single week. So if you like the content that I make, consider sticking around. Until then, I will see all of you on Friday.